Hello everyone, how is it going? Welcome back to another video. Alright guys, this is going to be a very important video for all those people who are facing difficulties in ranking higher on the leaderboard in the arena. Whether it be a beginner or an intermediate player, I don't think pro players would have any issues, but this video is especially for beginners and intermediate players. So I would suggest you guys to watch this video till the end so that you know the 5 tips that I'm going to tell you on how to rank higher on the arena leaderboard today in this video. All right, guys. So before we proceed, I just wanted to let you know that if you're new to the channel and if you're watching this video for the first time, I would like to ask you to please hit the subscribe button and click on the bell notification for further updates on videos just like this. All right, guys. So, how to improve your rankings in the arena leaderboard? So, the first tip, the first and the most important tip that anyone, any pro player, or any player who has been doing really good in the arena will give you is that play all your pips of your damage dealers. Okay. Now, there are people who basically do not play all their pips, and the reason is this is the main reason why they do not get enough points on the leaderboard. Okay. Not playing enough pips. Now, there are situations when your arena may be a bit difficult than the other arenas. So basically, how it works is that whenever there is an update, an injustice to mobile, the developers they create an entirely new arena, and if you create an account after the update, a new account after the update, then then you will be put into that newly created arena. Okay. And which will make your arena a bit easier than the other arenas. Okay. Now there are times when your arena will be very easy and there will be times when your arena will be very difficult. In both these scenarios, what you need to do is, if your arena is easy, you're getting easy points, it's okay, it's not a big deal. But if your arena is difficult, if you are not able to get enough points, or let's say if you're not, even if you're getting enough points and still not able to rank higher on the leaderboard, then you need to follow this thing. Play all your pips of your damage dealers at least, you know and what I'm trying to say over here is not only play with your damage dealers, use the entire team. Like there needs to be a one damage dealing character, one support character, or a combo builder, or two support characters with that damage dealer. Okay. And yeah, this is very important, guys. So usually, people, let's say my account, this main account, I usually play with like eight or nine teams, all including damage dealers, mostly, and support characters with them, along with them, supporting that damage dealer. So the thing about arena is that the more you play, the more points you will get. As simple as that. All right. So if you play all your teams, all your pips on one day, and if you don't play after that, then that's not going to make any sense. You'll probably just be on elite 1, elite 2. You won't be reaching elite 4 or the legendary spot or invincible or untouchable at any point just by playing one day. You need to play all the pips for all the 3 4 days, 4 refreshes that you will get throughout the entire arena season. It's a lot to ask, yes, but you have to give time if you want to get more rewards, if you want to get more gems, more character shards out of arena. All right, guys. Now moving on to tip number 2. Use the refresh button, guys. Do use the refresh button. Just keep your egos in your pockets, because if you are a beginner and if you're like, oh, I can defeat this team, I can defeat that team, nothing is impossible for me, then you will probably end up, losing a lot of fights. Because if you're fighting the opponent which is way too difficult for you to defeat, or way too difficult for you to handle, then you will at the end lose those pips, and eventually you won't get any points, and your ranking will not be as good as it should be. So so how it goes is that there are certain opponents, there are certain teams, okay, which are very difficult to defeat as a beginner and as an intermediate player as well. Teams which contain characters like Darkseid. You never fight Darkseid if you are a beginner or an intermediate player. Just refresh the button. It's a very convenient way of skipping the battles. It does not cost anything. It does not cost you gems. It does not cost you energy or any coins or anything else. Nothing has been required to refresh the pips, and this is like the best thing that we have in the arena, which helps you to fight those teams which are quite easy to defeat. So this is very important, guys, to use the refresh button in the arena. Now, you don't fight Darkseid, you don't fight the Batman Ninja team. There are certain legendaries as well which you should avoid fighting. Like in this scenario, it's obviously COW Superman because of the reflective shield. Manta because of the basic increased basic attacks. But there are, on the other hand, some characters which are very easy to defeat, like the LOA team is also very easy to defeat if you are having like a decent roster. But if you're a complete beginner as well, with King's team you can easily take down the LOA team. Just make sure that the Joker is not there in that team, because Joker basically will stun your opponents on tag-ins, which really messes things up. So make sure whenever you're fighting the LOA team, make sure that there is no Joker in it. Either it's Batman, Harley Quinn, or an EPI, or even Harley Quinn or EPI, or any other character except the entire LOE team, which includes the Joker. Do not fight last the Joker, especially in the arena. And as I said, do not fight Batman Ninja team. Obviously, there are certain characters which you can see that they're very strong. You can also check the stats of the characters, like if they're having gears or not. Let's say if you're fighting a legendary team which is not having any gears on them, that's not a problem. You can go ahead and fight them, but just make sure that you don't fight Darkseid, whatever the scenario is. Moving on, guys, moving on to the characters that are very easy to defeat in the arena. Now, characters, as I said, the first team, the LOE team, King's team, the Metal team is quite easy to defeat, even with Batman Who Laughs and Robin King in there. And then all the other basic teams, like which have the basic goal characters. Plus, you need to also avoid fighting the multiverse team. You know, Multiverse team is really difficult to defeat as a beginner or as an intermediate player. Justice League team, which are having cyborg characters in there. Without Cyborg, I think the team will not do a lot of damage. But with Cyborg and the Justice League team, that team again should be avoided at any costs as a beginner or as an intermediate player. All right. Plus, if you move on to other characters, like other multiverse characters, like which does not have, you know, a multiverse armored Supergirl, or any Justice League characters which does not have Cyborg in the team, you can easily go ahead and defeat them, no problems whatsoever. So choosing to fight the right opponent is very important. Plus, the game gives you a very nice option to refresh it without even costing anything. No gems, no coins, no energy or anything else. So that was pretty simple again to understand. These are some basic things, guys, and if you do it properly, then I'm guaranteeing you that you will have enough points to rank very high on the leaderboard. All right, guys. Now, team synergies. Team synergies is the third tip that I'm going to give you guys. Now, a team synergy is important. Now, it is very basic thing, and I'm pretty sure that all of them have a pretty decent idea about how synergies work over here. But yeah, still, if you are a beginner and if you're an intermediate player just skating through the game, I think that you just need to fight or make teams in a proper synergy. Now, the fights that you have been watching on your screens are a perfect example for that. I've been using characters like legendary characters in one team. Now, this is a really good part. This is a really good team to show you guys a perfect synergy. Now, obviously, the first two characters, which is Arkham, I'm sorry, which is Batman Who Laughs and Batman the Drowned, are the part of the metal team. But the third character, Arkham Knight Batman, is not a part of the metal team. Still, I'm using him because of the synergy that he provides, the extra effect that he provides, the extra hazard damage that he provides to the team. And we all know that most of the damage done through the metal team, through Batman the Drowned, is through the hazards, right? So this is why synergy comes in very most plays a very important part, actually, in defeating your opponents in the arena. And there will be times where you will basically think that why to just put in random characters, increase the threat of your team, and then try to get more points. But that is not a good way to go, guys. That is really not a good way to go, because even if you're using any random character just to increase the threat of your team, and trying to get more points, there will be more chances that you will lose those fights instead of winning them. And winning the fight is more important, right? So always make sure that you have a right team synergy. Now, since we're talking about team synergies, I've actually made an entire video, and now those video that video I made for was for raids. But yeah, you can also use those teams in arena, no problem whatsoever. But some of those teams in the arena as well. Now, the teams like Justice League team with Cyborg, the Multiverse team with Multiverse Armored, Supergirl, these are really good example. The one team that you're seeing on the screens right now is a very good example. If you don't have Arkham Knight Batman, you can go with the John Stewart Green Lantern. Does the same thing. John Stewart Green Lantern. Then you can go with the LOA team with Joker in it. You cannot fight Joker, but you can definitely use Joker when you're fighting in the arena. You can use the entire LOA team always. It's much better option rather than using a Batman character in there in your LOA team. And then you can also use you can also put your synergies on your legendary characters, like using Brainiac on your other legendary characters, and then using like this in this scenario it's Batman Who Laughs and Arkham Knight Batman. They have a little bit of synergy in them, the entire team. So, synergies are very important, guys. If you have them right, then believe me, you won't lose any single battle. And if your gameplay skills are really good, if your fighting skills are really good, then believe me, you won't lose any single fights in the arena. It's really easy, and yeah, it really helps a lot. Now, moving on, guys, the artifacts. Using the artifacts over here, tip number 4 is very important again, because artifacts basically will decide if you will do more damage or not. So the go-to artifact for me, whenever I'm playing arena, there are a few artifacts. Like there is one artifact which is dark metal cards, very helpful, as you can see. The Justice League team, but there is Brainiac in there, I think. Yeah, so that is the reason the basic damage is a little less. But usually, when I use dark metal cards on the Justice League team or any other team, I've used dark metal cards on almost every team that I play with. I've used it on the Justice League team, on the LOA team, on Joker. I've used it on Multiverse, the Flash, on the Multiverse team. I basically don't you. You can also use it on Batman, Ninja, Catwoman if you don't have Zatanna's puppet. But Zatanna's puppet would should be the right choice again in the arena as well. So, using artifact is very important. Now, what people do is that they just put on region matrices, or they just put on Nora snow globes on their characters, which is not a bad option. All right, it's not a bad option. Let's say you're using region matrix and you're using Nora snow globe on your support characters. It's great. It's great to have an extra layer of security on your character so that they don't die. Whenever you see that there is the opponent is about to do a super move, you tag your support character, let them tank the super move, and they will revive back through Regen Matrix or through Nora Snow Globe. Not a bad option, guys. But make sure that whenever you're using Nora Snow Globe or Regen Matrix, it's not on your main damage dealer, because that would reduce the damage greatly. And at the end of the day, you won't, basically, most of the times, you won't be able to finish off the fights. Now, take a look at this. I don't have region matrices over here because most of the time my damage dealers do the job in the first few seconds of the fight. But yeah, adding region matrices and Nora snow globes, not a bad idea, but make sure that you don't put them on your damage dealers. Go with either the dark metal cards. Go with the all blades as well sometimes if you want to. There are many other artifacts which can be also used on a support characters, mostly on the legendary characters like the nth metal armor. It splits the damage in between all the legendary characters. So that is again one very useful artifacts. There are some really good pay to win artifacts too, but we're not going to talk about pay to win artifacts because most of the focus of this video is towards free to play players. So let's talk about. So we did talk about the Azure artifacts. We did talk about some good solo raid artifacts too. So make sure that you try to use these artifacts, try to bring in into your team, and you will see the difference. Even using one artifact like dark metal cards will give you a lot of damage increase throughout your entire fights in the arena. And if you have any other artifacts that you have used that I have and it has worked before for you guys, you can definitely let me know down in the comments. And yeah, we'll just pin that comment, or maybe just let it be there so that people typing the comments down should know that how these artifacts work. All right, guys. So, yeah, and then after that, moving on to the next part, it is fighting high level opponents. Now, when I say fighting high level opponents, I don't mean fighting any character. Okay, I mean fighting characters who are high in threat. Okay, so let's say if your team's threat is 1 million. I'm just giving an example. Okay, if 1 million is too much, let's say if your team's threat is 100K. All right. I think you can easily, if set in the right synergy, if set with the right artifacts, if fighting the right opponents, then I think you can easily take down a team which is around 400K threat or even more, like 500K threat. And if with the right artifacts, with the right characters. Okay. So make sure always that do not fight the teams that are similar to your threats, similar to your team. because if you do that, you will actually win the fights very easily. But at the end of the day, you won't get a lot of points. You definitely won't get a lot of points. So let me give you a quick example over here. So let's go back in our fights. Take a look at this guys. If you see over here, the team's threat that I have is 1.2 million. That's my team's threat. And the opponent's threat that I'm fighting is 3 million. That is like almost three times what my threat is. So now this may look a bit difficult, but this team is super difficult to defeat. My team, I'm talking about the Batman Ninja team, is not that easily taken down. So this team is in right synergy. This team is having the right artifacts, and this team can take on anyone, according to me, because I've used it before. Now let's see some other examples as well. So let's talk about this team over here, the Justice League team. Now, even though this team is a little less in the terms of threat, there we go. So the same amount, all right, guys. So 1.1 million threat is there on my team, but the threat on the opponent's team it's 3.2. Now the levels are determined over here. You can go up or go down. You can see there is a low button on the right bottom corner of your screens. There is a low button and there is a high button. So if you are over here at the first, at the first place of the ladder, you will fight very easy opponents. But at the top or the fourth one, you will have difficult opponents. Yes, it is not that risky even to fight difficult opponents, guys, if you have the right team and the right artifacts. So make sure that you always go for a higher threat team instead of going for a lower threat team, so that you get more points and your rankings on the leaderboard will increase. So yeah, make sure that you follow these tips that I've suggested you, and believe me, you will have your leaderboard rankings in the arena improved. It won't happen right away. It will take time. Make sure that you follow these tips and try to get your characters in the right build, guys, because it is very important too. If you don't have your characters in the right build, if you have health and defense on your damage dealers, they won't do any damage. And if you have a lot of stats which you don't need on your damage dealers and on your support characters, maybe then make sure that you don't do that, because building the characters in the wrong way is the worst thing that you can do. It will hurt your account in long term. You won't be able to progress a lot faster, not just in arena but in any game format. All right. So then the fighting skills are also important, but over here, fighting skills are not that relevant, because mostly these fights, they don't last longer. Either you lose or you win in the first few seconds. Not few seconds, in the first couple of minutes at least. So fighting skills, again, tag-ins are very important. The timing to do specials are very important. Ghost tap becomes very important. Some advanced fighting skills is required in the arena as well, just like it's required in the raids and in the solo raids. But yeah, but when you have the teams built in the right way, you won't have to do that much effort, because most of your damage dealers, if built in the right way, will kill the opponents in a very less amount of time. All right, guys. So there are these were a few tips that I wanted to share with you guys. And when it comes to ranking higher on the leaderboard in the arena. So do let me know what you learned from this video, or it was helpful for you or not. And yeah, thank you for your time, guys. If you have any questions, do let me know. Once again, guys, have a good day. Take care. And goodbye, guys. Bye bye.